if you really want to see it properly, you should come here for a few hours, and then you can also visit the windmills from the inside, which is actually quite impressive, because as said before, they date back from 1600 even, and the whole inner mechanics is made out of wood, and it still works. So when the blades are turning, the inner mechanics turn as well, and well, depending on how strong the wind is, it can even be a little bit scary then to be inside, because everything is moving. Yeah, but it's very nice to see. But for that, you just have to come back one day to Amsterdam and well, spend some more time here. But I hope that at least for now it was a good taster of what the North Holland countryside is like and also used to be like. Some of you already tried a stroopwafel. That's the syrup waffle. Yeah, I saw some people have it. It's typically Dutch and also made in this area. But later on the trip, when we arrive downtown Amsterdam, you get another opportunity to try it and to also try some of the Dutch cheese, Gouda cheese. You probably pronounce it as Gouda. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Right, but in Holland we say Gouda. Can you try? Gouda. Yeah, if you say that on a first date to someone, they might run away. Unless you're from Holland, of course. No, it's really the Dutch way of saying it's Gouda. But I must say that in the south of the Netherlands, people have a different accent. They speak with a soft G, so they say Gouda. But here in the north, we are very proud of our strong G. We actually even make fun of people with a soft G from the south. So we say Gouda. We're doing a good job, I must say. Well, before I continue about the cheese, a good appetizer, but now look to the right. Here you see houseboats. They are floating on the water. And well, there is so much nice highlights of Amsterdam. There's going to be walking, and we are going to divide the group in three. Normally we do three different groups. So one group for the people, I don't like the word, but the slower walkers. Then we have a group for the fast walkers and a group who are in the middle. So maybe already you can think for yourself, like if you want to be in the faster walking group, the average group, or the calmer walking group. Yeah, the walk is about 2 kilometers in total, 2.5. And after the walk, we will bring you to the Heineken experience. There are no minors on board, right? No minors. Okay, great. Yeah, the legal drinking age in the Netherlands is 18 years old. It used to be 16 for beer and wine. That was when I was still a youngster, so I was lucky. Could already order a beer at 16 in the bar, but not anymore. They have changed that to 18. I know in America it's 21, right? Yeah, so anyway, the Heineken experience, because it also serves the Heineken beer to all the visitors. 2 beers you get. Yeah, so therefore they don't allow any minors inside. But so after the city walk, you will have about 1 hour or a little bit more in the Heineken experience. And then you can all return to the bus, and we will drive you back to the passenger terminal. Yeah, and for the city walk, you can leave all your belongings on the bus. You just need to bring what you need for the walk. But if you did any purchases on the Zaanse Schans, you can leave them here on the bus. And I'm gonna repeat it later again, but please be back at the bus at 4:20. 4:20, so 16.20. I will repeat it later when we get off the bus, but 4:20. That's the time that we want to be back at the bus, so that we are back at the passenger terminal at 4:45. Yeah, is there anybody who does not want to go to the Heineken experience but wants to walk around themselves? Well, it remains quiet. that might imply that you're all in need of a beer. Okay, well, if you do want to leave the tour, that's fine. But then you should come to us and sign a waiver form. Yeah, and I heard your boat is leaving at 7, right? Yeah. So 7:30. Well, Amsterdam is a small city, so it's not difficult to get back to PTA yourself. But of course, we love it if you stay on the tour. So, and this is the harbor area. But soon we're also getting back to the city area. You know that Amsterdam is a very small city. Only 750,000 people live in the center of Amsterdam. Around that is a highway. And outside that highway there are some more suburbs. And everything combined is 1.5 million. And for Dutch standards, that's huge. For a lot of Dutch people, Amsterdam is like a huge city. But well, how many people live in New York? 10 million, something like that? Well, in our entire country, it's about 17 million, so not that much. But I must say we're also a very tiny. Anyway, does any of you want to live in Amsterdam? Maybe?
Two of us.
Maybe, yeah. Well, if you have aspirations to live here, you better start saving. Well, maybe compared to like New York and other big American cities, it's not that bad, but currently there's kind of a housing crisis because there are too many people and too little new houses have been built over the recent decades. So there's actually people like in their 30s who are now still living with their parents because they can't find a place. And also for students, it's very difficult to find a room here. When I was still student, that's not that many years ago, no joking, it's getting ever longer ago. How long ago? Like 15 years ago. It was already like super difficult to find a student's apartment. But I did manage, so I lived here throughout my student's time and a few years after that as well. But I had to move every 2 years because I could only find temporarily housing. And well, in a bit, you will see that the Amsterdam houses tend to be very narrow. And that is because back in the days, taxes were levied according to the width, the frontage of your house. So the wider your house was, the more taxes you paid. Many houses are therefore very narrow but tall. But the stairways are thus also very, very narrow. So if you need to move, you need to, your big stuff needs to go on the outside of your house. I'm not sure, can you already see it? Like on the right hand side, do you see the beams on top of the roofs with hooks? These houses are a little bit more modern, so they don't have it standard, but many houses have those beams with hooks on top of the roof, and they're meant for practical reasons, like when you need to move, you put a catrol there and then hoist up all your stuff with a big rope on the outside of your house and get them into your house through the window. Yeah, the windows are also tiny, so you should also keep that in mind when ordering furniture. And well, the internet is also full with videos of stupid people who did not attach their stuff properly to the rope and then trying to like hoist their washing machine up and stuff like that. Yeah, it can get really terrible. But well, you can imagine for me moving every 2 years for 10 years in a row, it was terrible. Yeah, very stressful also with all the little narrow stairs. Never elevators also, unless of course you're in a modern building. And also the streets here are often so very small also that only one car can drive through it at the same time. So when you stop to unload, you block the whole road. And when there's like a line behind you, it's terrible. So you have to keep on driving in circles also. Anyway, so at some stage I gave up the fight of living in Amsterdam. And I just fell in love with someone who lives outside of town, and now I live outside of Amsterdam, but still quite close. Actually, my in-laws, they are originally from Amsterdam, and most traditional Amsterdam people moved out of the city also, because, well, it became ever more expensive over the last decades and also more international. Amsterdam has really become an international town. If you want to hear people speaking Dutch with the Amsterdam accent, you best go to Almere, which is another town where I now live. Yeah, so history can change, right? So when you look to the right, you also see a historical bridge, a hanging bridge, and really old houses. You will see many more when you start walking. So, but if you intend to live here in Amsterdam, you just must bring, I think, at least 500,000 for a tiny apartment. If you bring in more, you can maybe even afford a belt. But I guess the prices in America are similar. New York must be more expensive. So here you can see your ship. On the left-hand side is beautifully decorated. We don't see that often. Very nice. When you look to the left, you also see the Amsterdam Lookout. You see that green building right next to the eye on the right-hand side from the Eye Museum. On top there's a swing. So for the people who are not scared and not afraid of heights, you can go up the roof and then swing there. Go on a swing there and overlook the whole city. The water here also is called the River, and it used to be an open connection to the sea. So Amsterdam used to be a port city. But at some stage we closed the sea off. And then it turned into a lake. And so this water now is also fresh water. And Amsterdam is therefore protected from floods also. And you see those ferry boats. They are free and you can take them to the northern. Back in the days, the northern part was kind of a grim area where convicted criminals were hanged and tortured. But that was a long time ago. Nowadays it's part of the city that is still also in development, because as Amsterdam is growing, ever more people now also live in the northern. And so now we are driving underneath the central station, or the railway from the central station, and this is the old city center of Amsterdam. And you can already see some houses being crooked, right? Or like sinking into the ground. You see all these typical facades also of the houses. It's typical for the Netherlands. This kind of architecture you only find in the... So now we are almost at the point where we're getting off the bus. Again, you can leave your belongings on the bus. Just take what you need for the city walk. We will arrive at the Heineken Experience around 3:10 or 3:15. Please be back at the bus at 4:20. But the bus will be parked in front of the Heineken Experience. So we will not return here. So we will guide you to the Heineken Experience. You can go in there, and when you're done, you get out, and the bus will be parked right in front of the Heineken Experience, and you can get back on. And then we go back to P. So when we go off the bus, we will divide the group in 3. Then we will connect you all to the right channel. Then we will start the walk. Are there any questions? One more time. No, you know this often goes wrong on tours, no problem. 4:20. Yes? 4:20. 4:20. 16.20. You know, once I said to people, okay, don't get confused with my story, okay? But I said, please be back at the bus at 5:25. Water, and where everything is below sea level. So, well, to create more living space, people also started living right next to each other.
Wow.
But well, to live in a houseboat is actually quite expensive. It's about the same price as a normal house. And you must also take it out of the water every 5 years to do maintenance. Oh, here they're trimming the bushes. So, but when you look around here, you see the typical polder lands. People have a different accent. They speak with a soft G, so they say Yoda. But here in the north, we are very proud of our strong G. We actually see the miller's house attached to the wheel. Now get your cameras also ready. modern factories on the right hand side, the Disastershans on the left hand side. Some of the windmills are turning, so the last one is a wood sawing windmill. I have some shelves from there, they're on my wall, very lovely. I have a bit of Disastershans at home. So this is the river Zaan also that we are crossing, that's why it's called the Disastershans. Now you can also already see this traditional architecture of these. So the last one is a wood sawing windmill. I have some shelves from there, they're on my wall, very lovely. I have a bit of Disastershans at home. And so this is the river Zaan also that we are crossing, that's why it's called the Disastershans. Now you can also already see this tradition. Yeah, to me that meant 5 minutes to 5, and to some people it meant 25 minutes past 5. So I'm never gonna make that mistake again. Yeah. So on Disastershans there's also toilets. If you need to go to the toilet, I can recommend you to go here, because on the second part of our trip, when we go into Amsterdam center, there's less. Very nice. And so guys, this was Disastershans. What did you think of it?
Very nice.
It's a lovely place, right?
Stunning.
Yeah, if you actually... Okay guys, there's also the other group. Please make sure not to mix with them. So we're going to get off and maybe walk a little bit to the right. And especially this part of the country is also defined by this eternal fight against the water. Over the centuries, many people in this area have lost their lives due to the many floods that happened here. The last big flood that we had in the Netherlands was in 1953, and well, that was in the south of the Netherlands, and then almost 2,000 people lost their lives, and 200,000 acres of land got flooded. But after that we built even better dikes, and well, now the floods are never happening anymore, thankfully. But so already in the 12th century, the first dikes were built in this area. However, they were not strong yet, so many breached. But in the later Middle Ages, the dikes got stronger. Also because water boards and committees were formed. And together they could ensure the safety of the land. Yeah, and then also a new concept was created. The concept of the polder. Polder is a Dutch word. There's no equivalent of it in the English language, but it basically means reclaimed land. And so how we did it and how we still do it, I'll try to briefly explain it to you. So people arrived here in this very swampy or even wet area, and then they would build a dike. For example, in the shape of a circle. Then around that circle, on the outer side, they would dig a canal, the ring canal. And then from the inside of the circle, they would pump all the water out over the dike into the ring canal. And then the land in the middle of the circle would fall dry. And that is where people would build their houses. And so, in the Netherlands, half of the country is made out of polder. So also this area. There are actually 4,000 polders in the Netherlands. And well, you can imagine that if you pump out water from a peat ground area or a swampy area, that the ground starts sinking. And that is why all this land here is so far below sea level. I think here it's 4 meters below sea level. Well, it may be nice to know about the Dutch culture. For the people who have already visited, you might already know, is that the Dutch people are very sensible, rational people. But this already dates back from centuries ago. Because to create the polders, everybody had to work together. So farmers, nobles, townspeople, and other citizens, they all had to sit at the same table and agree on matters and work together to build the dikes and to keep their feet dry. And so in Holland we even turned the noun polder into a verb, polderen, and that kind of refers to this consensus model of hearing everybody's feelings, opinions, viewpoints, and then well, having endless discussions before coming to a compromise and an agreement together and moving on. So yeah, still nowadays the Dutch people are known for being very outspoken also. Everybody has an opinion, doesn't matter your origin or status, everybody has an opinion and wants their opinion to be heard. But we're also very practical. If something doesn't make sense, we simply don't do it. And we are not that sensitive to status. So even if you're famous, rich or important,